Have you ever felt like you're giving everything you have, your time, energy, and care, but still feel alone and unappreciated? There was once a young man who spent his life helping others. He always put their needs first, standing by them during their toughest moments. But in the end, he felt alone and empty, betrayed by the very people he had tried so hard to help. One day, in despair, he looked up at the sky and cried, "Why do I always think of others? Why does no one think about me?" Feeling lost, he decided to leave his home in search of peace. He wandered for many days, weighed down by the pain of unfulfilled expectations and the constant thought, if only they had stayed, if only they had cared. His journey led him to a hidden monastery in the hills, where a wise guru was teaching his disciples. The young man approached the guru and said, "I am tired of people. I have always been alone. I need peace. Can I stay here?" The guru looked at him calmly and said, "Yes, but only if you agree to one thing: think only about yourself. Not your past. Not others. Not what they did. Only you. Focus on who you are now, and who you can become." The young man was confused. "Isn't that selfish?" The guru smiled gently, "Not at all. A tree must first grow its roots before it can provide shade to others." So, the young man stayed at the monastery and began to meditate each day. But he struggled. His mind kept wandering to the people who had hurt him or those he could not forget. "Who are you thinking about today?" the guru would ask. Each time, the young man would hesitate, caught in his thoughts about the past and unable to focus on the present. Days passed, and slowly, he began to realize something important. He had spent his whole life thinking about others, worrying about their opinions, their happiness, their actions. In doing so, he had forgotten the most important person in his life, himself. He had ignored his own needs, his own peace, his own growth. And in trying to please everyone, he had only lost himself. One day, during deep meditation, something changed within him. His thoughts quieted, and for the first time, he wasn't thinking about anyone, he was simply focused on his breath, the present moment, and the peace inside him. When he opened his eyes, he felt a lightness he had never known before. He whispered to himself, "Now, I understand. It begins with me." The young man rushed to the guru, excited to share his realization. "Master, for the first time in my life, I thought only about myself, and I feel lighter than ever." The guru smiled and said, "Good. You are now walking the true path. When you stop chasing after others' approval, you begin to discover yourself. Focus on your own peace and growth. Only then will you have the strength to help others." Meanwhile, far away, an old man sat with his sons and said, "My biggest mistake in life was thinking too much about others, what they thought, what they wanted. Now, I have everything I could ever need, but I feel empty inside." One of his sons asked, "Then what is the right way to live?" The old man replied, "Think about yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of awareness. Become strong first, then you can help others. When you are full, only then can you give." The guru spoke one last time to the young man, saying, "Think about yourself. Improve yourself. Grow so strong in peace that nothing and no one can disturb you. The world doesn't need more people pleasers. It needs more awakened souls. An awakening begins when you look inward, fully, deeply. Think only about yourself. And your future will shine." If we look closely at our own lives, we may realize that we often spend so much time thinking about others, worrying about their opinions, their needs, and their happiness, that we forget about ourselves. We give everything we have, but sometimes we feel empty, unappreciated, and lost. The young man in this story is no different from many of us. We give and give, only to feel drained and unseen. But just like the young man, we can find peace and strength when we begin to focus on ourselves, not out of selfishness, but out of the understanding that we need to grow and heal before we can help others. It's not wrong to think about your own well-being. In fact, it's necessary. Only when we nurture our own peace and growth can we truly be there for others. Imagine how much brighter your future could be if you took the time to care for your own mind, body, and soul. Think about your dreams, your growth, and your purpose. When you start prioritizing your own peace and self-improvement, everything else will fall into place. Just like the young man who learned that true fulfillment comes from within, we too can awaken to a brighter, more peaceful future when we stop chasing approval and start focusing on what truly matters, ourselves. So, take a moment today to reflect on what you need. Prioritize your growth, your peace, and your purpose. When you do, your future will shine brighter than ever before.